The skies above Metropolis shimmered, casting an eerie glow over the city. A tear in reality itself splitting the heavens, a sight both mesmerizing and terrifying. A colossal figure emerged, his purple visage a mask of stoicism, his golden armor gleaming with an otherworldly light. This was Thanos, the Mad Titan, known across the cosmos for his ruthless ambition. But today, he came not to conquer, but to warn. He had foreseen a threat, a cosmic horror that dwarfed even his own ambitions. The Anti-Monitor, a being who consumed entire universes, was on its way, leaving destruction in its wake. Thanos, much to his own surprise, felt a pang of something akin to responsibility, a feeling foreign to him, yet undeniable. He would need help to defeat this enemy, a foe unlike any he had faced before. That's why he came to Earth. To seek out the Justice League, the planet's mightiest defenders. Standing before the assembled League, Thanos laid out his dire prophecy, his voice heavy with urgency. He spoke of the Anti-Monitor, a being of pure antimatter, whose hunger for positive matter knew no bounds, a force of nature that could not be reasoned with. He described worlds devoured, galaxies rendered lifeless, entire civilizations erased from existence. He offered his aid. He proposed an alliance. The fate of all creation hung in the balance, a cosmic battle that would determine the future of the universe. His words were met with stunned silence, the gravity of the situation sinking in. Superman, ever the beacon of hope, was the first to speak. His voice, usually so full of confidence and assurance, now carried an unusual weight. His tone, however, held a distinct edge of disbelief, a rare occurrence for the Man of Steel. "Thanos, you have terrorized countless worlds. Why should we trust a word you say?" Superman's question hung in the air, heavy with the weight of past betrayals and broken promises. The Man of Steel's eyes narrowed, his stance a study in controlled power. Every muscle in his body was coiled, ready to spring into action at a moment's notice. He had faced gods and monsters, but the sheer ruthlessness of Thanos' past deeds made him wary. The memories of battles fought and lives lost flashed through his mind. Batman, ever the strategist, saw the situation through a different lens. His mind raced through countless scenarios, each more complex than the last. He understood the threat of the Anti-Monitor, his contingency plans having included the cosmic entity for years. The Dark Knight had always prepared for the worst, but trusting Thanos? That was a gamble Batman was hesitant to take. The stakes were too high, and the margin for error too slim. Even if your words are true, what guarantee do we have that you won't turn on us? Batman's voice was cold, each word meticulously chosen to convey his distrust. The Dark Knight's voice was low, his gaze piercing through the shadows of the room. His eyes, sharp and unyielding, sought any sign of deceit. Wonder Woman, however, saw a glimmer of something different in the Titan's eyes. She had always been able to see beyond the surface, a flicker of genuine concern, a hint of desperation. It was a side of Thanos she had never seen before, and it intrigued her. She had seen the capacity for good in even the darkest of hearts. Her experiences had taught her that redemption was always possible. "We cannot afford to fight this threat alone," she stated, her voice firm yet compassionate. Her words carried the weight of truth and the promise of unity. "If there is a chance Thanos speaks the truth, we must at least listen." Her gaze shifted between her allies, seeking their agreement, hoping they would see the wisdom in her words. The debate raged on, voices clashing like thunder in the stormy skies, each leaguer meticulously weighing the risks against the potential rewards of such an unprecedented alliance. The stakes had never been higher. The decision, however, was abruptly made for them. A monstrous wave of antimatter surged across the galaxy, leaving a trail of unimaginable devastation in its wake. The Anti-Monitor had arrived, heralding doom. The first battle was a symphony of chaos and destruction, a cacophony of clashing powers and desperate maneuvers. The Anti-Monitor, a being of unimaginable power, tore through reality itself, its very presence unraveling the fabric of existence and bending the laws of physics. Superman's mighty blows seemed to pass through it like a ghost, Batman's intricate strategies rendered useless against such a cosmic force. Even Wonder Woman's divine weaponry, forged by the gods, had little effect. The League was hopelessly outmatched. It was Thanos who turned the tide, arriving with an unexpected resolve. With a roar that shook the heavens and echoed across the battlefield, he unleashed the full might of his power, a force to be reckoned with. Energy blasts erupted from his hands, each one a concentrated beam of raw power, forcing the Anti-Monitor back, inch by inch. He fought with a ferocity that surprised even the League, his every blow a testament to his desire to protect this universe, however begrudgingly. His determination was palpable. This was not the Thanos of old, the conqueror, the destroyer, the harbinger of death. This was a Thanos fighting for something more, something beyond his own ambitions. He was fighting for a cause greater than himself, a universe that needed saving. In the aftermath of the battle, the League regrouped, battered but not broken. Thanos, his armor scorched but his spirit unbroken, stood among them. He had proven his worth, his actions speaking louder than any words. There was still skepticism, of course, particularly from Batman, but a grudging respect had begun to form. Over the following weeks, the Justice League and Thanos found themselves thrust into conflict after conflict. They battled alongside each other against Brainiac, thwarting his attempt to bottle and steal Earth's greatest cities. They faced down Darkseid, the god of apocalypse, pushing back his forces from the Source Wall itself. With each victory, the initial distrust began to wane, replaced by a sense of camaraderie forged in the fires of battle. Thanos, for perhaps the first time in his long life, felt a sense of belonging. One day, a distress call reached the Watchtower, a civilization on the brink of collapse, their planet succumbing to a rare cosmic plague. There was a cure, but it required a sacrifice. A sacrifice that only someone with Thanos' unique physiology could make. The Titan was faced with a choice. He could walk away, leave this civilization to its fate, or he could make the ultimate sacrifice. He had spent a lifetime taking, conquering, destroying. Could he for once give something back? Could he embrace the ideals of the Justice League, the very ideals he had once scorned? The decision tore at him. He could feel the pull of his old self, the whispers of power, the allure of indifference. But he also saw the faces of the Justice League, their eyes filled not with fear, but with hope. He saw the desperate pleas of the dying civilization, their fate resting on his decision. And so, Thanos made his choice. He agreed to help, using his own life force to synthesize a cure for the plague. He knew the risks. He knew the sacrifice it entailed. But as he looked upon the grateful faces of the civilization he had saved, as he felt the warmth of the League's acceptance, he knew he had made the right decision. In the end, Thanos did not die. Weakened but alive, he emerged from the ordeal a changed being. He had stared into the abyss of his own soul and emerged on the other side, a glimmer of redemption flickering within him. The Mad Titan was no more. In his place stood Thanos, a being striving for something more, something beyond his past sins. He remained with the Justice League, no longer a reluctant ally, but a valued member. His vast knowledge and unique perspective proved invaluable in countless battles. He had found a purpose, a reason to fight that went beyond conquest or destruction. He had found a family. The story of Thanos joining the Justice League is, of course, a work of fiction. A tantalizing what-if scenario that explores the very nature of redemption and the power of second chances. But could such a scenario ever occur in the main DC continuity? Could a being as inherently destructive as Thanos ever truly turn to the light? The answer, as with most things in comics, is a resounding maybe. Thanos, for all his villainous deeds, is a complex character. He is driven by a twisted sense of logic, a belief that his actions, however ruthless, are for the greater good. He is capable of love, as evidenced by his complex relationship with death. And as this very story demonstrates, he is not above sacrificing his own desires for the well-being of others. The beauty of what-if stories lies in their ability to explore these possibilities, to push the boundaries of established canon and imagine the unimaginable. They allow us to see our favorite heroes and villains in new lights, to explore uncharted territory within their respective universes. The idea of Thanos joining the Justice League may seem absurd at first glance. And yet, upon closer examination, it reveals a wealth of narrative potential. It forces us to confront our own preconceived notions of good and evil, to question whether even the most hardened of hearts can be redeemed. In the vast, ever-expanding multiverse of comic books, anything is possible. Heroes can fall, villains can rise, And sometimes the most unlikely of alliances can forge a path to a brighter tomorrow. So, while the idea of Thanos standing alongside Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman as a champion of justice may seem like a far-fetched fantasy, it's a fantasy worth exploring. After all, isn't that what comics are all about? Exploring the impossible, embracing the improbable, and reminding us that even in the darkest of nights, there is always a glimmer of hope. The potential for such a story arc in the main continuity is a question that lingers. It sparks debate amongst fans. Could it work? Would it compromise the integrity of either Thanos or the Justice League? Or would it be a bold, new direction? A testament